Everyone has a story. Stories have power. They help us understand. Jessop's Journal is a collection of powerful, positive, and inspirational stories. It's time for Jessop's Journal.
Hi, I'm Doug Jessop. Welcome to this episode of Jessop's Journal, where we share powerful, positive, and inspirational stories and music. Today's episode kind of has a funky title. It's People, Promises, and Prose. Our first guest is a woman that gives people hope.
A chaplain is that facilitator of end-of-life conversations and closure. So that's where chaplains do some of their best work.
Next up, who takes care of the kids when the parents aren't around?
Dan Paul is the grandfather to Breonna and Riley. He and his wife are now the legal guardians of the girls.
I love him and he takes care of me. I love him.
What kind of promises have you made?
I get to entertain for corporate events as well as be a motivational, inspirational speaker. And I fuse all of the entertainment, comedy, music, all kinds of fun impressions into an inspirational message called The Promise.
We've talked about people, we've talked about promises. How about the prose? Well, of course, that's Makisi entertaining us. Okay, I have to admit it, it's dad joke time. It's a cheeky story, but somebody had to do it.
Got a colonoscopy from Dr. Brett Doxey at Utah Gastroenterology.
See that little teeny piece of tissue right there open? So very small, very benign looking, but it's going to be completely removed.
Of course, don't forget one of my passion projects, Objects with Stories, Are Treasures Remembered.
This was painted about 1903. Southern Utah is largely unexplored. And he's sent by the Commercial Club of Utah, which becomes the Chamber of Commerce, to go explore southern Utah.
But first, Tiffany Berg. With me today, Tiffany Berg. Tiffany, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Now, you and I met at I don't know if weird's the right way to place it, but a unique place, okay? And so you remember what I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay, you want to fill people in?
Well, I have been a chaplain for over a decade, and we were honoring people in the community that have done incredible things, and you were one of those people. So you were given an honorary chaplain certification.
Yes, Chaplain Jessop.
Yes.
Okay. Or Chaplain Doug, I'm not sure what, I'm gonna figure out what the word is. So tell me, what is a chaplain?
People often think chaplain is military or it's a religion, and a chaplain, especially in hospice, is really a facilitator of sacred stories. A chaplain is that facilitator of end-of-life conversations and closure. So that's where chaplains do some of their best work.
You know, inquiring minds want to know, there's got to be a reason why people pick to do what they do. Mm-hmm. So what was the pathway for you to become a chaplain?
Well, it's not something when I was a little girl I thought, oh, I want to help people when they're dying. That was never an idea. But as I got older and my late husband passed of cancer, I realized as much as I knew about life, I didn't know enough about death and grief. And we had 5 children that were also grieving. And going back to school gave me this education that brought far more depth to my life. And so chaplaincies allowed me to see life differently and have very different conversations with people about their stories.
Mm-hmm. Well, I noticed that, talking about stories, you actually did a little kids book.
I did. In that experience where my late husband was going through cancer, I realized that kids don't have the vocabulary to articulate upset feelings. They don't know how to talk about sadness or anger or loneliness. And so this book, If Cancer Was a Fish, I'd Throw It Back, is a way for kids to talk about tough feelings. And surprisingly, a lot of adults have enjoyed it too, because not all of us understand how do we process just upset feelings. How do we move through that in a healthy way?
What does the power of prayer mean to you?
That power of prayer more than in religion. You know, in religion it's almost like a routine, or maybe you've got some worries, and so you do a certain thing. For me, it's really this channel of information, and it's a two-way channel. And so for me, it's a lifeline. Prayer is that place that I can go to and really lay down the things that I'm worried about or I'm struggling with. And it's also that place where I receive just encouragement and life and ideas. And so for me, it is this telephone line, I guess, as opposed to something you do.
Well, the name of this show is called Jessop's Journal. And it's named that because I really do have a journal, okay? And it's got all these marks and everything, because to me, life kind of comes with scars. So it's the last question I like to ask everybody. So, and it's kind of esoteric, but here we go. You ready?
All right.
Tiffany Berg, how do you want to leave your mark?
I'd like to leave a mark on this world of encouragement in people's stories. Just last night I received a message from someone who was wondering why they were here in life, why things were so hard. And in that moment, overnight and this morning, I was able to have this conversation with this person and really encourage them to stay, to be here. And so I think if there was a mark that I would want to leave, it would be that I'm in the lake with people in their personal stories, that I care to be in the lake with them as they're in the harder chapters of their story. I think you and I are very similar in that we love people and we love stories. So I think I would probably turn it around. I would probably turn it around, and you ask people all the time, what is the mark? What is the mark that you would leave? And I would probably ask you, Doug, what is the mark that you want to leave, that you want this show even to leave?
My grandfather and I were very close. He was the only male role model in my life that I could count on, that I knew he had my back. I'm a grandfather. It's one of the coolest things in my entire life. And the last words that my grandfather said to my mother would be the same things that I would want my grandchildren to for me. And that is, please remember me. Because to me, that's the reason I do these stories. Because I believe that if stories of these people, I mean, names on gravestones are great and wonderful, but it's the stories. And if those stories of these people can be passed on generation to generation, it's as though they live. If those stories are forgotten, it's as though they never existed. So how's that for an answer?
Oh, I like that answer.
Okay.
I like that answer.
There's lots of ordinary people out there doing extraordinary things. It's time for the caring stories.
Grandma.
According to the 2010 census, 10% of children in the U.S. are being raised by relatives, especially grandparents. And Carney Gallardo with the Children's Service Society explains the most common reason why.
There's a lot in which I respect and believe that has to be done for those that are engaged in drug addiction situations. But there is this other issue around this that is affecting the families, the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, the children.
Dan Paul is the grandfather to Breonna and Riley. He and his wife are now the legal guardians of the girls.
When my wife and I decided to take Breonna, she was little. And we got a picture of her when she's really little. So I remember we've had her since then. Both of them have become an integrated part of our lives.
What's your favorite thing about Papa?
He's like a dad to me. I love him and he takes care of me. I love him.
The Children's Service Society offers a variety of programs supporting the safety and well-being of children, including one called Grand Families and Kinship Care.
The biggest thing that I've taken away from grand families is we're not alone. You meet a lot of other people that are going through the same thing.
Jen Dishman is the grandmother and full-time caregiver to Sam in Boston.
What advice do you give to other grandparents that find themselves in this situation?
Take care of yourself and just love them. But also utilize grand families. They have great resources. They want them and pray for them.
These stories deserve to be told. These are the caring stories. One of my favorite inspirational quotes is from Audrey Hepburn. She said, "To plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow."
You ready for some powerful prose? It's time for Jessop's Jukebox with Makisi.
It seems nowadays things more weightier, and just don't dwell on what the people say, 'cause it's okay, and I realize this one day, that you'll find your way, and I'll be waiting at the gate. Hey there, little fella, I know you're down and out. Think about it, just write it down and tell the world about you. Strive for greatness, move along, gotta get along, too long. It won't be too long. It won't be long, 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 long. It won't be too long. It won't be long. It won't be too long. It seems nowadays and things more weightier, and just don't dwell on what the people say, 'cause it's okay, and I realize this one day, that you'll find your way, and I'll be waiting at the gate. What about the girl on the side of the road? I'm a plea written on cardboard, and the help will appreciate it. And as you drive right by, you see the pain in her eyes. You see it's raining in the world. I wanna offer her pearls. Only I have these words. God bless and break these words for you. It seems nowadays and things more weightier, and just don't dwell on what the people say, 'cause it's okay, and I realize this one day, that you'll find your way, and I'll be waiting at the gate. It seems nowadays and things more weightier.
Want Doug to broadcast from your event, destination, or business? Follow Doug.com.
The bowel prep is a cleaning solution that essentially maintains fluid in the gut and washes out all the other stuff that's normally in the gut.
Everyone over 50 should get a colonoscopy, even Jimmy Kimmel.
Can I get you a drink?
Yeah, sure. Oh, is that the
Oh, wait.
stuff?
Hold on.
Cheers.
That was impressive. How was it?
Vile.
It was. That's all there is
So
to
how
it.
long does it take to work? Oh, wait, it's working. I'll see you tomorrow.
No. Colon cancer is the second leading cancer killer for men and women combined in this country. So that's why it is so important to get screened.
I took Katie Couric's advice. It's a cheeky story, but somebody's got to do it. And got a colonoscopy from Dr. Brett Doxey at Utah Gastroenterology.
See that little teeny piece of tissue right there open? So very small, very benign looking, but it's going to be completely removed. close so that it never has a chance to grow up and cause cancer. Good, remove that. Thank you. Sample 1, ascending polyp. All right, polyp number 2, forceps, and he is done.
Dr. Doxey found and removed 2 precancerous polyps.
If I'd waited longer, what might have happened?
The type of polyps that you had, on average, have between a 1 and 5% chance per year of developing cancer. So if you would have postponed coming in, getting screened, you would have been at moderate high risk of cancer over 5 to 10 years. So essentially, you've got a clean slate right now, and we'll check again in 5 years.
Glad to hear that. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's time to remember what you're thankful for. It's time for Thankful Stories. What are you thankful for today?
Dinosaurs.
I'd have to say my family and friends that are close to me.
Family and community, just everyone around us just supports us and we help support others, and super grateful for the community that helps us and tries to build us all up at the same time.
There's entertainers, and then there's entertainers with promises. With me today, the illustrious Jason Hewlett.
I'm already laughing.
Oh, illustrious.
The illustrious.
It's like, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, you know. You and I met, out of all places, a honorary chaplain meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, so we both are chaplains apparently now.
I never thought this would happen in my life. I didn't know what chaplaincy I was doing in life.
Yeah.
But here we are. I've been called an inspirational chaplain, inspirational entertainment chaplain.
There you go.
And you?
I am the chaplain of presenting powerful, positive, and inspirational stories.
Well, that sounds really good.
Go figure.
I like that.
Like, okay. What's your gig?
Yeah, so I get to entertain for corporate events as well as be a motivational, inspirational speaker. And I fuse all of the entertainment, comedy, music, all kinds of fun impressions into an inspirational message called The Promise.
The Promise?
Yeah, so I've been doing that for over 20 years now, and it's a pretty darn fun thing to do. I get to make people smile, make them think, make them go, hey, what's my voice? What makes me unique? Kind of like you with your signature hat. I call it signature moves, and we all have signature moves to discover. And so I just teach people through impressions of other people. I say, this is the voice of Louis Armstrong. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And it's like, he was told not to do that because they didn't love his voice, but he knew that was the voice he had. And we should all keep the promise to share that which makes us uniquely who we are.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
When did you discover that you could do the voices and all that kind of fun stuff?
Oh, I mean, early on. I grew up in the 80s in Park City, and so I was a kid that grew up hearing, well, voices like on the TV. Mickey Mouse, Donald, Goofy, the Disney voices. Oh boy, hi everybody, Mickey Mouse here. Oh, here's Goofy, where's Donald? You know, so I was doing just crazy sounds as a kid. And then Pee Wee Herman came along, ha, la, 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 ha. You know, you're not allowed to do that in schools anymore. But like, I just started to figure out that I could mimic people pretty well. And then found out later on, I went to Waterford, a private school in Sandy, Utah. And a teacher there heard me singing in the hall. And she said, you need to be in the choir. You can do amazing things with your voice. And she said, what can you do? And I showed her some of those voices. And then she said, you have a gift. You are going to make a living with that voice, and I'm going to teach you. Her name was Mrs. Rosalind Hall. She now teaches at BYU. She's a legend.
Hi, Rosalind.
Hi, Roz.
Okay.
Yeah, so she said, come into my classroom, and I sang for her stuff that I knew nobody else could do, like the Chipmunks, Alvin and the Chipmunks from the 50s, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Christmas time is near, time for toys and time for toys. And she said, that's incredible. So she helped me discover my voice, and now I teach how leaders are supposed to help each other discover their gifts. It's great.
Okay, so why is it the promise? What's the phrase there?
Good
Why?
question. I mean, I do so many events where these leaders are saying, let's set goals, let's hit our goals, let's reach our goals. And I like to say, why set a goal when you can make a promise? Because if you set a goal and you miss it, you set another one. But if you make a promise and you break it, that's a one and done. So what are the things that are the sacred goals, the non-negotiables? That which you're just going to say, I will do this no matter what, and that's why I call it the promise. It's the highest level of engagement we commit to in any experience. So it's a fun way for me. If I said to you, hey Doug, I set a goal to be there on time for your, for this recording, that wouldn't be enough. I'd be like, hey man, I promise I'll be there. And you're like, okay, I believe you. That's the difference.
Now, a little birdie told me, and I don't know what, I'm trying to figure out what birdie voice it was, but a little birdie told me that you used to perform in this little place down the road called Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah, I've had a lot of opportunities there, and that's where my career began. I was an impersonator of Elton John and Ricky Martin. So
okay.
I looked like both of them, put on the right costume, and all I had to do was perfect the signature moves of each guy. And I was for a show called Legends in Concert, and it was at the Imperial Palace. And I got to travel all around America doing the show as Elton and Ricky Martin with Elvis impersonators and Tina Turner and Whitney Houston, all these people that were great impersonators. And eventually, I put together a one-man show of over 100 voices that were just, I'd bounce in and out of different voices, like the Bee Gees. Well, you can tell by the way I sing this song, I'm singing high but not for long. Then I'm going into, I hear the train a-coming, it's rolling around the bend. So I'm just bouncing in and out of voices. And I all of a sudden had people looking at me at casinos wanting me to come be the headliner. And so, yeah, we had a really neat opportunity there for a couple of years to consider what I was going to do and become. That didn't work out, but I'm grateful that I get to do what I do and where I've gone. It's been very cool.
So if you don't mind me asking, when you say it didn't work out, okay, come on. I'm not going to lay you off the hook that fast, okay? So there's a story behind why it didn't work out.
Yeah, and the short answer is that as I'm sitting across the table from casino billionaire that wants me to come into his casino and help him, my wife and I had driven our Subaru from Salt Lake down to Las Vegas, and we didn't realize we were being offered the opportunity of a lifetime. All I had to do was sign on the dotted line, and it said, you have to change your act, you have to make it more conducive to our audience, to our clientele. And at the time, the new slogan in Vegas was, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And my family-friendly, G-rated performance was no longer something they wanted. They wanted to mature my presentation, and we couldn't come to terms for what that would look like. And so that's why I talk about the promises. What are you willing to promise yourself that no offer can entice you to anything different? And that was one of those stories.
Ladies and gentlemen, I need your help because I can't do this all by myself because I've only got, 10 fingers, okay? We're gonna count to see how many faces Jason Hewlett can do. So, ready? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you ready, Jason?
Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Hey, that's a good one. 12, 13. I don't know. I guess that's about it. That's all I can think of right now.
Okay. So the question I have for you, Jason Hewlett, how do you want to leave your mark?
I just love the fact that every time I take a stage, it makes people laugh, and on a professional level, to be able to see people be relieved of their pain or their sorrow, they're forgetting just what's happening in their life. To be able to have that moment for them, it feels like an exponential reach. And I love that that's my professional mark. And I would say on a personal side, the mark you want to leave is with your family, with your children. That they would say, he had integrity and he has, he's done something of his life that's extraordinary. And I'm grateful to get to be a husband and a father. I mean, to me, that's the greatest mark in my life at this point, so. Yeah.
Well said.
Thanks.
Everybody needs a cheerleader, somebody that's in their corner that's going to spur them on and cheer them on. But you know what? I think everybody also needs a coach. The difference between a coach and a cheerleader is that a coach will bluntly kick you in the pants once in a while when you need that. It's just that extra little oomph. The guy behind the camera, Ed, he's my coach. It's time for Treasures Remembered. With me today, Dr. Micah Christensen from Anthony's Fine Art. So Micah, you know, there's objects, and we've told a lot of stories, but then there are objects that actually change history, and apparently this one is quite that story.
This is one of them. This is a watercolor, it also has gouache in it, painting of southern Utah. It was done by an artist who has the greatest name ever. His name is Henry Adolphus Lavender Colmer.
Wow.
Almost everybody just called him Hal or HLA Colmer. And that's what it's signed here in the bottom left. It's a painting of southern Utah that he was making as a result of a survey that he did. So you got to imagine Utah at the turn of the century. This was painted about 1903. Southern Utah is largely unexplored. And he's sent by the Commercial Club of Utah, which becomes the Chamber of Commerce, to go explore southern Utah.
Okay.
He takes a surveying kit, which is, by the way, how he made his money as a geologist and a surveyor. If you're a painter in the West, in the turn of the century, there aren't many art galleries here.
Right.
And he comes back, paints this painting, submits it to the third ever contest of Utah art, wins the top prize, and from there, it has the honor of being sent to the St. Louis World's Fair.
Oh.
At the St. Louis World's Fair, where it represents the state of Utah, the editors of a magazine you may have heard of, National Geographic, approach him.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
And they say, we want to hear more about southern Utah. Can you gather more information? He goes on another expedition, and he and his sponsor for the expedition write an article for National Geographic. It appears in 1907. And at the end of the article, they make an impassioned plea for a national park to be established in southern Utah.
So this is one of those national parks.
This is in Canyonlands. And as a result of this article and of his lobbying and this painting, which led to that lobbying in that article, we have Canyonlands National Park and Zions National Park.
Wow. Objects with stories are treasures remembered. Did you know that gums with xylitol reduce cavities by 80%? It's time to smile and relax with Spry. Thanks for watching this episode of Jessop's Journal, titled People, Promises, and Prose. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of all the negative stuff out there, so I'm really glad to be able to provide powerful, positive, and inspirational stories and music every week on this TV station, as well as worldwide at jessopsjournal.com. Everyone has a story. Yeah, you do, right there. The guy on the recliner, you have a story. Stories of power. They help us understand each other. With another entry into Jessop's Journal, I'm Doug Jessop.